recording. So welcome, Liz. Thank you for being here today. Elizabeth Elenor. Now, Elizabeth is here today to talk to us around, I guess it's probably, she's going to tell you her story, but when, as a stylist, you know, I sometimes find that I'm the expert when it comes to style, but when we have health and wellness and, you know, that whole holistic approach to us as business women, as business leaders, other people have that expertise. So Liz is that expert. I know that she is a what is it, Liz? A
spiritual mentor.
Spiritual mentor.
Yeah.
And you know, that comes under so many modalities, I guess, Liz. So, like I said, creating abundance with style and resilient females is all about, you know, all of those modalities mixed together. So style, health, and wellness, putting it all together, helping women with all modalities of themselves, and helping them love and accept every part of who they are, not
absolutely
just, you know, not just their business, not just their you know, their family relationship. It's the whole lot together. So it's that whole holistic approach and being connected to their source. So Elizabeth Elenor, take it away, and let's hear what you have to say around the three powers, because I believe that's your topic today for us.
it is. It's basically my foundational work, to tell you the truth. Thank you so much, Lucia, for having me on. I know we get on so well, and I'm just about to be one of your clients. Has been trying to get on to me more than anything, like, because I definitely yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you on how to dress for my personality and all of those things as well. So will I have you given me access to
sharing now, and
yeah,
I'll let you take that away. Yeah.
okay.
Right now. Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I'm still learning all of these parts, but
That's
so you're going to see, yeah, you can see it better now.
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
Excellent. Look at us. We actually blend in with my lioness.
I know.
Talk about being intuitive, your background and everything. It's fantastic.
It's gorgeous.
So thank you so much, Lucia, for having me on your groups. And this is a fantastic opportunity to talk about, as I said, this is my foundational work. So this is power, powerless, and empowered. And so being able to, this is going to be new for me, bringing it into the space of working with our clothes and our health and all of those things. So I did one the other day with talking about like speaking and speech and everything. So this can be in any situation, right? So let's start with a little bit about who I am. My name is Elizabeth Elenor. I have been a remedial massage therapist for well over 20 years, and I took that hat off quite a few years ago now, just maybe a couple of years ago. Through the process, I've been a spiritual energy healer and mentor for about 18 years. I discovered that I could read energy, that I was an empath, even though I still have a bit of a problem with the word. You know, like, it's basically just like most women, we feel, right? We feel what's happening in our environment. We feel what's happening to other people, and we can connect with them. And so through that process, I basically tune into people and work with them on that level to help release any patterns that they've got in their system and bring them back to the wholeness that they actually, we're destined to be in, the purpose that we are. Yeah. So not always like that. On the left-hand side down the bottom here, you can see this is a picture of me and my two brothers. And I would say it's one of the only pictures that I have of me enjoying my life. as most of us, we were brought up in a powerless environment just because we were told, don't do that, don't touch that, listen to me, do as you're told, all of those things. Even if you were brought up in a beautiful lifestyle, you heard that information. And so through that information, we start listening outside of ourselves instead of internally, what is right for us. So beautiful, big journey, went through some amazing experiences. And I say amazing because they weren't always good. However, they did bring me to where I am now, in going from not being able to speak well, as in I actually found myself in a very powerless position, to moving out of that and being able to find my voice and find myself, and now working with people on, or mainly women, on doing the same thing for other people. So this is my beautiful family up the top. I've got two children, my beautiful daughter and her husband, and my very tall son. And that's the only picture that I've got of all three of us, with Curtis smiling, because he's one of these serious men. So so what I always like to ask the people that are watching, where do you feel you sit, before I actually give you any information about my understanding of the three powers, where is it, do you think, that you sit most of the time in your life? Because we all reside in one of these, and generally is in the powerless.
Yeah.
Powerless is where you know, that we live in this dualistic hot, cold, black, white, male, female, power and powerless. You know, we often live in that reality.
Yeah.
And so from a point of view, when it comes to working with you know, the style, your like what you're wearing, your health, we often, when we're in one of these positions, you can tell by the way we dress.
Yes. Yes.
And so, as you, like Lucia, you work with people in a place of positioning them with their clothes and their chakras, right?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And so would you, do you support them to, if they're unbalanced in some of their chakras, to wear the clothes of those chakras to bring
an awareness to that,
Yeah.
not necessarily to wear those colors, but to bring an awareness to that color, that there may be some work that needs doing there. You know,
Yeah.
maybe some blockages, there may be something there that's pulling them away from their alignment.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so maybe, you know, like having the more balanced chakras in the colors, but adding a little twinge of the, say, the red or the orange, or
Yes.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll just go over what my understanding is of the three powers. So powerless is something that's easily identified generally. People can often identify someone that's feeling very powerless. And the way we dress in that particular time, like style, is feeling really unworthy. And so often we are doing our best to hide. Yeah. So it can be sloppy clothes, like very bulky clothes. You know, actually, can you give me some examples, Lucia, of what you would say powerless?
Generally, it's black.
Yes.
Black is a color that people can diminish into. So
Yeah.
there's no reflection in their faces. There's no illumination to their personality. They're generally, it's those black, but those big baggy clothes.
Yeah.
Very. I want to say comfortable, but comfortable, you can be comfortable in style, like clothes that fit your body. it's more those cover up clothes, you know, those big t-shirts, those really floppy sloppy clothes. You know, we've all got
baggy jeans.
yeah we've all
Yeah.
got wobbly bits, but I guess the thing is, are you embracing those wobbly bits, or are you trying to cover, you know, with layers? So it's kind of the layering of all of that persona, so that we can't see who you are, we can't see beautiful you. So
yeah. And so our style, like, and you know, that's reflected in our health too, right? Because when you're in that place of feeling unworthy or not adequate, or you know, doing our best to hide through that process, we're not even honoring our body. So the food we intake, you know, not drinking enough water, so often dehydrated, lots of toxins in our body because we're you know, using cheap chemical products, or you know, there's so many things. We don't think of ourselves enough and honor who we are. And so it's all of those things. Powerless is, you know, in that place of being diminished, defeated, pulling back, you know, like head down, often holding our shoulders forward, or away, like keeping our chest,
very down, you know, like can't look in the eye. A lot of those sorts of that's how they reflect out. So
so protecting the heart in that
very much so.
Very
protective of themselves.
And so you know, things like depression, sadness, passive aggressive can be part of being powerless. Anxious, all of those things are forms or emotions that are you know, or processes of being powerless, because it's energy being taken away from you.
Liz, it's interesting you've got in there perfectionism. That is one of the things with styling that I truly see a lot of. The conditioning that women have received to have this perfect silhouette, you know, like our thighs don't touch, our legs need to be shapely and tanned, you know, we don't have these
baggy arms,
tuck shop arms, I think they call them.
All
of those things, that they're just part of being a woman, you know. That's part of being that beautiful, amazing vessel that we have, you know. And accepting that, you know, that it's not perfect, that it's, you know, it's just the environment or the conditioning that we've received.
Again, that influence outside of ourselves of what is right or wrong for who we are.
Absolutely. So
because we absorb so much in the first 7 years of our life, and whatever you were told is what you become.
That's definitely right.
And you know, like, unless you are consciously aware of shifting that, then it becomes your persona and you think that's who you are. So yes, it's and the perfectionism and controlling your environment is part of that powerless game. So power is the opposite of that in this particular instance. So power is often very aggressive, lashing out. Power has a few different faces, right? Because power can be manipulative. It can have this slippery, snaky sort of energy to it, right? Because it can be sarcastic. Again, perfectionism can come into being, control freak. You know, being too wanting to control your environment. And so power has so many different faces, and sometimes sometimes power can play the victim of being powerless because they get attention from it. Now, when that comes, like into our clothing, for example, this is a typical example of, some like these teenagers that are in the position of feeling quite powerless in who they are, but they're wearing all these look at me clothes.
Yes, exactly.
So that they can get the attention.
Not understanding that they're they're being manipulated. They're actually being, almost powerless. They believe that they're in that power.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not. They're
No,
very, very
because they're still playing in the game.
that game.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Like I'm playing this model of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so, people that are in power, that's like being an aggressive woman, for example, playing the I'm in the masculine structure. So they, wear the clothes that define that as well.
Very structured clothing.
Yeah, that's right. So do you want to give us a little bit of an idea of what you would see as power clothes?
Yeah.
In a just so that we can define that, in a not power as in the positive, but in what you would see as when someone is defining themselves when it's not quite them.
I guess there's a disconnect. I see a disconnect in the clothing and the persona. So it could be any style, but very much corporate dressing is
Yes.
one of those personas that I see. There's a lot of disconnect. Like I worked in banking for many years, and it was very much, that grey and red, that colour, grey and red.
Yeah.
And I always kind of felt almost a passive, sort of aggressive, like it was
the competition.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're dressing that way, and you begin to behave that way, but it's not really you.
Yeah.
And you sort of, I guess you feel that disconnect in wearing. So
and would I be like Lucia, the thing is, by dressing, like doing that corporate, this is how our uniform is or whatever, especially with women being very empathic, this clothing and this style can actually start changing your behavior and your personality.
Yeah, and I've seen that many times.
Yeah, you start moving into that because that's what you're constantly, that's the pattern that you're doing all the time.
Yeah, it's almost like you're manipulated into that pattern.
Yeah,
it's interesting to say that, because I left that corporate banking for that very reason. My ethical and my I guess my empathy for others didn't allow me to do what I was doing any longer. Putting them into debt, putting people into debt. I just
wasn't yours. Yeah,
it was just against every aspect of who I am as an individual. So I just couldn't do it. So it's interesting you say that, because I was dressing that way, and I felt, that almost empowered, but it wasn't really aligned to who I am. So
and that's that discord you were talking about, right? And so in relationships, for example, to bring that into our relationships, our wellness, power and powerless actually need each other to survive. They need an external source. So powerless is energy being taken away from them. Power is aggression over, or some sort of energy over, and absorbing the energy of others around you. And so there's power is, both of them are being out of balance. And that's how our life and our world lives, mainly in power and powerless. Empowerment is a whole different ball game. So powerless need each other to survive. And I usually use they go backwards and forwards like that. Empowerment is this connection to your internal source. It's self-generated. There is no taking off anything else. And there's continuous giving, if like the energy is just continuously unlimited and able to give. And so
Post
empowerment. What was that?
rubbish
Sorry.
man's coming. The rubbish man's coming. Oh goodness, it's noisy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So empowerment is confidence,
Yeah.
internal strength.
Yeah.
It's connected to its higher self and knowing internally. It doesn't need that external influence or that external acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You know, it knows its boundaries. It knows how it feels. And so there's no there's no pull and push with that energy.
Yes. Yeah.
And so from a clothes or a style point of view, I would say, and I'd love to hear your version, but I would say someone that's empowered understands how they want to dress.
Yeah. Definitely.
What looks good for them and how to accentuate the beauty that they have and that they behold, regardless of, you know, what their body structure is. They find grace with whatever their and joy in being creative with the way they want to express themselves in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I often say this to women, discover how to play with your clothes again.
Yeah.
You know, the dress ups, the
Yeah.
that used to dress up.
Yeah.
That is empowerment in dressing. That is that is the dress up. That is the playing and putting patterns and colours and anything you like on and feeling like you are just this most amazing woman and you own it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's beautiful. I love that because just as you said that, I was like, oh yes, of course, you know, because for me, and I'd say this would be for a lot of women, there's a chicken and egg thing sometimes with clothes. Am I feeling a certain way and that's therefore the reason I dress this way? Or I'm going to dress this way to actually, you know, bring that energy into my body.
And when we have our conversation, you're going to hear more about that because that's how I style people. It's more about the energy and the elevation that you get with particular clothes in your current wardrobe. So
I'm looking forward to it.
About that, you know, it's about dressing up. I can remember dressing up in my grandmother's ball gown as probably a 6 or a 7-year-old, and it was so long, but it had this sequins all on the bust, you know, and it was these fluffy furry sort of sleeves, and I just felt like this most graceful ballerina, you know, like and that's truly how women can dress if they just embrace their amazing bodies, you know, just
absolutely
be aligned to all the colors that they love, not be not allowed conditioned by fashion. You know, it's more than that. It's more than fashion. It's not about fashion. It's about you aligning to your true core self.
So, that's so beautiful. And that's like when you're in that place, then you're reflecting that. You know, you shine brightly, you look good, you know, you're attractive to everyone.
My husband always says that to me, and I always know when I'm feeling awesome, you know, like when I've got something on that I feel really great in, or you know, the color makes me feel elevated, he'll say to me, oh God, you look good, why are you looking so well, you know? And I'm like, oh, I was born that way, you know, so own it, you know. And it's exhilarating feeling because you know that you're reflecting that outwards, you know. Your amazing qualities, you're reflecting that out to other women. So
so true. So the thing about being empowered is it's not playing that game anymore. It's not allowing you know, there's a bit of a process with that, right? Because if you're in that power palace and you've got, you know, moods and emotions that have held you into that place, it's hardwired in your brain, you know, the without going into too much detail, but the you know, nerve synapses lock together, and that pattern just is challenging to get out of unless you do some work on it.
Definitely.
So there's a bit of a process to discovering how to shift out of feeling powerless or power and moving into that, you know, feeling more empowered, and then being able to reflect that in a way through the process of, you know, your clothes and your jewelry and your health and your wellness and all of that sort of stuff. So the reason, like, I used to think of these things as, you know, the three powers, almost like a bit of a triangle.
Yeah.
And then I realized the more I talked about it, you know, we are generally brought up in a powerless position.
Yeah.
You know, we're born into this beautiful being and we love who we are. And the more we're here, the more we're looking outside of ourselves for acknowledgement and love and you know, the condition of whether I'm good or bad,
Yes.
all of those things. And so we're actually conditioned to be powerless, yeah, as young children. And then as we move into maybe the teenage years, we sort of start going, wait a minute, there's more to me than that, and I'm going to rebel from that. And so you find your power.
Yeah.
However, what often happens is people stay in those two games.
Yeah.
They stay in power or powerless, not knowing that there's that next level, not knowing they can step out of that game and really find their confidence and their intuition and their real source energy. So empowered is not playing the game anymore. It's all just about personal growth. And that's reflected in the clothes you wear and the health, you know, the wellness that you're experiencing. Listening to your intuition and acting from there, breathing and being centered. So with the work that I do, I teach women how to find that empowered place through, I do a thing called multidimensional healing. So it's working with clearing and breaking those patterns that are in your, you know, in your subconscious, so that you can find and, you know, your internal source. And I do that with the three powers, breathing, and from the multidimensional healing as well. And being aware when you're empowered, you're aware that you're not perfect, life's not perfect.
That's right.
It's just the way it is, and that we're constantly growing, right?
Exactly.
And the opportunity to express ourselves creatively,
Yes.
through our clothing and stuff as well. So,
Yeah.
so Lucia, if there's anyone on your pages that's interested, this is my little QR code. Everyone knows this these days, right? Because it's everyone has to check in everywhere we go. So this is something that you just go, yeah. So it's helped us with technology, right?
Absolutely.
This is my business page. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more or wanting to know how to shift some of those patterns, just click on that. It'll take you through to my business page. And also, if you're someone that wants to look at why you're sitting in power or powerless and how to get into empowered, I do 30-minute free assessment calls through the process. So if you're interested, just put in the chat here, yes, please. And if you could tag me in that chat, if you're watching, just tag me in the chat so that I know to come back. I will be coming back and looking through the process. But if you're watching in a week's time, I might miss it. So just tag me.
Yeah, beautiful.
Through the process.
So
that's me, Lucia.
Beautiful. Oh, Liz, that was awesome. It was so interesting when you were talking about that process of power, powerless, and empowerment. It's almost like we've got stuck in this powerless.
Yeah.
We haven't moved to that next dimension.
And
yeah, it's really interesting. You know, I just saw that there, that was almost like our birthright.
Progression. Yeah.
It is to be this person that's fully aligned to who they are and fully embracing every aspect of whether it's their mental health, their spiritual health, their how they present to others, the whole lot, the whole
Yeah.
yet we've got caught in this powerless. Yeah, we haven't actually come through. Some have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what happens is too, if you have moved from powerless and you've experienced yourself as power,
yeah,
you can get caught in thinking that that's the way you should be residing.
yeah.
And so you're stuck in that game, because technically when you look at that model that I just shared, power is still powerless.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Both of them, yeah. They're needing an external source, yeah, and they will diminish if given they're in their own devices in one way or another. The thing that I forgot to mention is that all of us experience being in power and powerless at any particular time. Like you don't just say I'm powerless all the time. That's not the label that I'm suggesting. People, like, one moment you can be feeling quite empowered, and the next minute someone triggers you with something and you've jumped into the pond, and so that's where you grow. Power and powerless is where you discover more of who you are, and the more you're in that place of being empowered, when you do step in, you go, oops, my feet are getting wet, I'm going to jump back out again. Yeah, because you're more aware of it, right?
Beautiful. So thank you for being our guest today. This has been amazing. I loved it. So
it's good.
We'll say goodbye to everybody. Now, if you ladies are wanting to book a 30-minute chat with Elizabeth, just comment in the chat, and we will tag Elizabeth and let her know. Now, ladies, I have done this course that Elizabeth's got too, so she will talk to you a bit more about that in the 30-minute chat. But yeah, it's this Awaken the Lioness has just been an amazing course for me, and I've repeated it because it has been so good. It's just really enlightened and aligned me to who I am in my core. That it's had such a huge influence on getting me to that empowerment, understanding the difference between
the three powers. I actually forgot to tell the story of why I do the lioness, because the lioness in my the way I see it is, this beautiful empowered being. She's comfortable with who she is. She knows her boundaries. She brings up her children that way as well, that's right. So I tell the story of, being comfortable out in the sun, and a couple of the cubs are playing around and biting her tail, and she's totally fine with it until she's not, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And as soon as she's not, she turns and swipes at them. Yeah. And that's to say, you've crossed my boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
So once she's swiped, she doesn't hold on to it, grudges or anything like that. She's back to feeling comfortable. They know that they need to back off. Mum still loves us because they've been brought up with that strong love. Yeah. They just know to back off. We've crossed her line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so she's like the beautiful empowered being in my, that's how I see empowerment.
And she sits back in that empowered persona as well, doesn't she? She goes,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Back again, like I'm
holding a space. Yeah.
So bye everyone. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, Lucia.
Catch us again on Thursday at 5 p.m. for our next webinar. And thank you, Elizabeth Elenor, for being our guest tonight. Bye.
Thank you. See ya.